how that happens. Oh my gravy. I didn't even mean to start the video yet. Alright, what's up, y'all? Yeah, let's go like this. Just from here is the point, because we do it as we do it. Blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company style. What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong. I am the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Today is the 6th of April, 2026. Let me back up a bit. Dante's here, my standard poodle. Okay, my current dog. Hey, buddy. This is a video under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. Really, this video could go wherever it could go, if you will, under In the Image Clothing Company. Hey, man, you gotta watch out, brother. You're right in the way of the camera. But this is the point. Under In the Image Clothing Company, there are 4 sides. And under In the Image Clothing Company, there are people behind it, okay? St. George, Utah, for the location, is this video's title, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. The thing is, this is what we do here, okay? Document things. It's just another date marked documentation, is what I say often when we're just filming things, to document what's going on, the time periods, and just to show congruency. I talk about it as it's our insurance policy to a degree, you know, and just, yeah, I mean, documentations, a record-keeping people as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you know, I mean, Christians in general, it's you know, God documents what's happening. That's how we know what happened in the past, is through documentations of history. A lot of what we do here under In the Image Clothing Company is under what I call the gift of video, like this one is here. So yeah, there's a little bit of shade here for Dante. He might use me for shade. St. George, Utah, for the location. There's 4 sides to In the Image Clothing Company. What do? We allow the body to work, okay? Under our main side here, the thing is, clothing is the only thing physically placed on our bodies. Our bodies are physically placed on Earth. The human body really is just a mechanical machine placed onto, as we can say, this rock in space that is our Earth. The body's just hinges and levers and rotations and just functionality. Bones, ligaments, tendons, and muscles. There's organs, and it only does what it does. We've got bones, only the shape and length that they are. Muscles, only the shape and length that they are. A center line to the body, staying vertical with Earth's vertical gravity pull. Okay, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizing the entire body. Musculature to the crown of the head, down to some of these upper ribs, out to the corners of the shoulder, going through the collars of our top. Okay, look at this. Okay, the jaw is the shoulder. A video under In the Image Clothing Company's main side here, but also it just is what it is, a mechanical machine. There's only one way the body works. The feet stand on the flat horizontal surface of the planet Earth, and then that's the neutral. The feet lift up at the toes or point down at the toes. This is dorsiflexion or plantar flexion. It's determined by the surface of the Earth. Same with the pelvis or the hip structure. It's got the neutral from posterior, tucking underneath us or rotating anteriorly away from us. The hip structure of the human being, the feet of the human being, standing vertical with the human being on Earth's gravity. It's just about mathematics and mechanics. Okay. Hinges, levers, and rotations. That's really what the body is. Really what the body is just a vessel to house us as spirit children of God within, and it takes us across this earth. It's just a machine. So there's only one way the body works, because at its baseline explanation, there's only one shape and length to the bones that connect directly to each other through ligaments, and they have to track in line. The only way the bones can either stabilize the body or then move from there is by muscles pulling on the bones through tendons, and muscles only pull, and they only do it directly in line from where they connect to the bones on either end. Opposing muscles allow us to close a hinge by pulling, or to extend a hinge by pulling. Muscle fibers together, they fire with an electrical system sent from the brain to tell them to do so. Anyway, so clothing's the only thing physically placed on all this that's going on, the human being and all the aspects of what we could say that it is. We discuss standing, sitting, walking, eating, breathing, sleeping, hydration, everything we do. With our slogan being allowing the body to work, we just understand the anatomy of the human body in depth here under In the Image Clothing Company, and we just allow it to do what it does. God designed the human being to work the way that the animals don't try to get better posture or try to get stronger in the gym. The bodies just work. They only do what they do. But we place clothing on our bodies. Clothing is just the only thing physically placed on our bodies. It's the literal word of clothing. God clothes the fields with grass. Okay. We clothe our bodies with anything. It doesn't have to just be tops and pants, shoes, socks, undergarments. It could be glasses or jewelry. It could be anything you place onto the body at all. It's just the literal wording of clothing our bodies with something. Okay. So, this is what we do. This is why we're here, baseline, the main side, the first side, if you will, of In the Image Clothing Company. And yeah, we're doing all of this through our clothing. So clothing has to stay centered because there's a center line to the human being meshing with Earth's vertical gravity pull that's always just centered. Fit correct because we've got joints of body parts meshing with joints of material of clothing. They just have to be in the same location, or else the bodies just can't work of the human being, residing in their only position they really have, which is their neutral. The position between either side of any functioning in the body where we stabilize between. Just standing up, we're stabilizing in the neutral between leaning left or leaning right, or leaning forward or leaning back. We stabilize in our neutral position of everything in the body. If there's motion in the body, it has two sides, or we just move once and you're done. But there's two sides to everything in the body. Okay, so the point is natural materials as well, okay, is another thing we have to have in clothing. Staying centered, fitting correct, and being made in all the ways we can from the only thing that actually exists, because matter cannot be created or destroyed. Everything's always been here since God, who had to first look like us to be able to even word it as him designing us in his image. There you go. Being designed in the image of Jesus Christ, we're a clothing company. And now you know some of the reasons why, if you didn't before this video. Anyway, we have a lot of unnatural materials. Synthetic things, artificial things. These are synonyms with the word fake. The human body, in its functioning, has these synonyms: natural, neutral, and normal. Okay, so natural, it's the goal. The goal is natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. This is a lot of what we do, discussing the anatomy of the human body in depth to allow it to work, giving free modifications in clothing if there's any imbalances at all in clothing, just so it doesn't alter our bodies. And we also give free modifications, if you will, on how to approach our lives as human beings. Living in this modern man-made world that's placed onto God's natural earth, there's a lot that's just not meshing with our bodies. Rounded hands correlating with the rounded arches in our feet that grip the ground, with our different length toes, our different length fingers from our thumb that's a different length and a different function because it's opposable. There's only one way the body works. There's no opinion to training the body to do anything. There's a normal to the human being in all aspects. A normal heart rate, a normal respiratory rate, a normal temperature to the body, a normal amount of fat content versus muscle mass. There's just a normal in everything the body does. A normal amount of hydration and what that really means as well. You know, one of the things we discuss clearly under In the Image Clothing Company. We try to do all that we can to keep any and every opinion aside that we possibly could. We're all imperfect human beings, but we didn't design our bodies. God did. They only do what they do. And they have to continue to do that, or they don't, and we die. Everybody dies. Even God himself died and then resurrected 3 days later. Today's actually Easter, which is the day that that we celebrate Jesus Christ resurrecting. That's what Easter is. Across the entire earth, that's the reason that's what you could call a holiday. So, yeah, today, the 6th of April, 2026, okay, is Easter Sunday. So, we're doing all these things as in the Image Clothing Company, and this is just our main side, what we do here, and this is where everything branched out from, if you will, all the other 3 sides to the 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company. Now, allowing the body to work, we live in a right-handed world. We've got 85%, give or take, of human beings across the planet Earth being right-handed, but we've got 2 sides to our bodies. So, we've got to use both sides of our bodies evenly, really, to be able to stay centered. Okay, there's just a center line to the body and a center line to Earth's vertical gravity pull. Okay. Anyway, we get into chronic patterning. If we've got things like these, oversized clothing, imbalances of any kind in clothing, things like ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces or drawstrings, we can just tie one side of something over the other side and twist the entire body. Well, these things get us into chronic patterning where our bodies try to work around these things for potentially decades or almost an entire lifetime. You know, years and years and years, maybe even just weeks or months. Anything physically placed onto the body can damage its workings. So a lot of these free modifications we give in clothing are just what they sound like, just free modifications. Things like keeping collars centered and the importance of snug collars with this even opposing musculature from the center line of our neck. And really, some of this musculature is the jaws musculature connecting the lower jaw bone, which is stabilizing the entire body, naturally, out to the edges of our shoulders. These muscles go through the collars of our tops that just needs to stay centered for us to stand vertically on Earth's vertical gravity pull. Rotated seams in clothing. With robots stitching our clothing nowadays, there's a lot of stitches that didn't happen when mankind just made our own clothing, okay? We've got a lot of technologies, and so with things like this shipped across the entire Earth, imbalances of any kind in fairly universal clothing design, if it doesn't work for the universal human design, the body gets damaged by carrying this thing around all day that we call clothing. Gravity's got the same effect on our clothing that it has on our bodies, and our clothing is just the literal word for anything physically placed on our bodies. There's only one way the body can, could, and will ever physically, mechanically operate. It's just hinges, levers, and rotations. It's just a mechanical machine. All right. So, the human body, it's just mechanics, okay? The human body is just mechanics is a video's title under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here, but we just discuss it in depth. Now, this is the thing. If we've got universal, or at least fairly universal clothing designs through the technology that we have nowadays being shipped across the whole planet, and there's imbalances in these things because it could be anything, buttons or zippers or pockets or just designs stitched onto clothing or added onto clothing after, right? In any kind of way you could do this, heat shrunk onto clothing. I mean, anything at all that you could possibly say is an imbalance in clothing and just isn't allowing the body to work. There's people walking by the way. Yes. Then this is happening in every instance, and any instance it is across the whole planet, to any human being wearing any clothing item that's not allowing their body to function. So, this is a lot of what we're doing under In the Image Clothing Company, okay? It really is about the body. We're only a clothing company for the sake of getting to the functionality of the human body because clothing is the only thing physically placed on our bodies. Now, why is this video here? Why is it titled what it is under In the Image Clothing Company's main site on the 6th of April, 2026, Easter Sunday? Well, St. George, Utah for the location. I personally, me, Evan Strong, am the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. I'll be doing this my entire life. Okay, this is my lifelong career. This is my endeavor, if you will, that I'm going to be embarking on for the rest of my life. It's not the way that some people might found a company or something and then pass it off to someone else. When I label myself as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, What I mean is, not only am I the one that has started this as it is, but I'll be doing this my whole time on this earth. Okay. So, currently I have this dog here, Dante, this standard poodle. One of our fourths is In The Image Clothing Company Poodles. We just add the name of the side of the company to the last part of it for the other three sides, okay? In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, In The Image Clothing Company Podcast, and In The Image Clothing Company Music. Just so that everything can come to our 5-word company name, and it can be simple and easy to find and to advertise for, if you will, just meaning explain how to get to what and who we are. It's all under our 5-word company name. In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, we do the same thing for dogs as we do for human beings here on In The Image Clothing Company's main side. We title it Letting Dogs Stay Natural. It's the exact same approach as allowing the body to work for human beings. But our dogs are domesticated animals that live in this modern man-made world that we place onto God's natural earth. There's a lot of hidden dangers for our dogs. We place man-made products onto dogs, collars, leashes, harnesses, slip leads, bandanas, just the literal word of clothing our dogs with something. Yeah, these are man-made things. And so we let dogs stay natural, information applying to all dogs, but we specialize in purebred, standard-sized poodles. Okay, standard is the large size of the breed of the poodle. So, yeah, Dante and I, is the point of me saying this right now, are going to be moving down to St. George, Utah this month, April 2026. And from there, we'll be away from this flight school that's nearby here in Utah County, Utah. There's a lot of airplanes around here, more than most anywhere else, that there's not a flight school. Yikes. But we do it as we do, and we will continue to. Blunt, bold, raw, and real. That's how we are, who we are, if you will, as In The Image Clothing Company. So there's just surrounding sounds where there are, because there's surrounding sounds where there are, right? Here's the thing. St. George, Utah is more of a desert, if you will, than the rest of Utah. The state of Utah here in the United States of America, it is a desert. It's not a true dry desert, as in never getting moisture, because we've got snow, as you can see on the top of these mountains here. This is the Rocky Mountain Range in Utah. Yeah, we get snow. We get rain where we do. It's a true desert, though, Utah. It's very dry in the air, but we've also got so much, as I say, diverse nature here. There's wetlands, there's lakes, there's forests, there's mountains, there's just big open plains where there's sand dunes in Utah here. There's a lot of diversity to the nature, the wild land, and even the wildlife as well. Yeah. So, St. George, Utah, though, it's the very southernmost part of Utah. It's the very top end peak, north to south wise, top end of the Mojave Desert, okay? In Arizona and Nevada, these areas where the desert comes up into the very bottom part of Utah, the state of Arizona and the state of Nevada, they are more similar in their environment to St. George, Utah than most of the rest of the state of Utah is, because it's a different area of the earth. It's the Mojave Desert, that area down there. And you've got this beautiful sandstone, these red rocks that are made of sand. Okay, that's what sandstone is. It's just two things put together. You take sand and pack it together and it becomes stone. Okay, St. George, Utah, for the location. The reason why this video is here, okay, in the Image Clothing Company's main side, is partially for the date marks to show what we're going to be doing, but then also just explaining why. Why are we going down to St. George, Utah? It's for the location. We talk about the human body. That's what we're doing, as in the Image Clothing Company, is we allow the body to work of the human being, and the dogs as well, letting dogs stay natural. The body literally, truly, physiology-wise, physics, it can work better in the warmth, okay? Our body's temperatures don't change from 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. They don't vary from that even just about the slightest partial degree temperature-wise, or else the body's damaged. Like we say, there's only a normal to the human being. It has to regulate its own temperature, our bodies do, at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. The body's just what it is. The heart beats for itself, the lungs breathe for themselves, the eyes blink for themselves, the body will heal itself when it gets cut. It's just God orchestrating everything and doing all that he's doing without us even knowing it's happening. This is how we say truth is truth. Things are just happening even if you don't know about them. Truth is truth even if you don't understand it yet. So, the body works better, truly. Mechanically, it operates more. It has more vibration in it, physical work happening, physical motion of the molecules making up the body when it's warmer, okay? We've got a video here currently under In the Image Clothing Company's main site titled Heat versus Cold in the Body. Hot versus cold in the body, okay? Whatever it's exactly titled, the body can physically operate and physically work better when it's warmer outside, closer to the body's natural temperature, and then the colder or farther away it gets on the low end of things, okay, in temperature, from the body's natural 98.6 degree Fahrenheit temperature, the harder it is for the body to work physically. And you know this if you do. It's cold outside. If you've experienced cold temperatures, the body stiffens up. It's literally physics. In anything, there's just more motion in something when it's warm. That's what heat is. It's an explanation of physical motion. We can call it heat, but it's just more motion than something that we could call cold. It just moves slower. The actual molecules of everything that's making up everything else, okay? So, anyway, the point is, though, I mean, that context is good to have, but the reason I'm giving it right now is because St. George, Utah stays at least slightly and really a relative quite a bit warmer than most any other part of Utah through the year, okay, year round. It gets hot just about everywhere in the state of Utah in the summer, but in the winters, it gets much colder in a lot of parts of Utah than it does in St. George, Utah. Because, like I'm saying, it's the very tip of the Mojave Desert. It's actually a different part of the earth to a degree, okay? So, yeah, it's 3.5 hours south in a car, give or take, driving distance from here in Utah County. But I mean, the actual formation of the land, there's that red rock sandstone that's not really around here very much at all, just a few 100 miles north of St. George, Utah, in Utah County here. My point is, really, with this video, is the title, St. George, Utah for the location. The reason why we're going down to St. George, Utah isn't for anything that you might think, like connections with people, or because it's in some ways kind of technically a tourist town. That's not the reason we're going down there. The reason we're going down there is the same reasons it has become a tourist town. If you can see what I mean, it's for the actual environment and the weather. Because under In the Image Clothing Company, we do so much through the gift of video, as I said earlier. I mean, that's the big point, is we film so many videos because of what we're doing and what we can do through just documenting our information by just hitting record on a video, right? And just documenting what's happening. Our entire company could just be videos forever, for the rest of my life, Evan Strong as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Yeah, I mean, I'll be doing this my entire life, and it could always just only be videos, because it's about the information and the truth and the documentations of what we do here that we're a clothing company to begin with. It's to allow the body to work, and how we do that is an understanding of what it means to allow the body to work. And so, yeah, we're going to always be doing so much in nature under In the Image Clothing Company, and you can't do that very well in the winter. I mean, I know there's people who really love to do winter sports or winter activities, snowboarding, skiing, and those are big things here in Utah because we've got the Rocky Mountain Range coming through our state. The mountains are beautiful, but if you don't ski or snowboard, there's a lot of things that you cannot physically actually do in winter in Utah if it's too cold or if it's too snowy, that you could do in the summer or the spring or into the early fall when it's warmer. And the things we do as In The Image Clothing Company, why we're here and what it really means to be what we are with our slogan being allowing the body to work. The body truly works better in the warmth. And not only that, but what we're doing, because we do a lot more than what you could ever possibly imagine with just hearing our company name and knowing that we do things with clothing. We do things for the environment, and we do things with advocating for things, but we also physically, personally do things as well. And I'll explain those things where I do. We've got a lot of date marked documentation under video before today's date, okay, the 6th of April, 2026, Easter Sunday, about a lot of these things. But what I'm saying is we need a location to do this. Otherwise, we're kind of dormant in the winter. The way that a bear hibernates in the winter because it's just cold. So a bear will go into a state of hibernation for months of the year where they don't really do much of anything. That's how a lot of human beings are and just about have to be in a place like the state of Utah here, where it gets very cold and then where it does snowy as well in the winter. And as In The Image Clothing Company, we don't want to be limited in what we can do year round just because it's too cold to maybe even truly safely be outside, but then especially, certainly comfortably be outside. Once it gets cold enough that it's cold, you're not going to be doing things outside the same as you can just physically do them in the warmth. So there's a lot of reasons why we're going to St. George, Utah. Dante, my current standard poodle, and me, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, Evan Strong. And there's a lot of reasons why we, as In The Image Clothing Company, will be based for life in the town or the city of St. George, Utah. And these are a lot of the reasons why. Because in order for us to continue to do what we're doing, we just can't be limited by only a certain amount of months of the year. Being able to do things like our events, for example. When we do things like poodle parade events, where you can bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, coming for the events, and the reason why we're doing them, it's not a meet and greet to come for In The Image Clothing Company's team, unless very specifically specified that that's what an individual event was for. We're doing events like this to get people into nature and to get our dogs into nature. We're doing events like this to advocate for keeping the healthy planet healthy, okay? Things like subcategories of poodle parade events under In The Image Clothing Company poodles, clean the creek or rid the rubbish poodle parade events. We can't do these things quite the same in the winter. Here in Utah County, it just gets too cold. Down in St. George, Utah, almost the entire year, it's warm enough to be outside, at least relatively comfortable. It still gets cold where it does and when it does, and to a degree, in the winters in St. George, Utah. But, statistically and comparison-wise, it stays much warmer down there than it does in most any other part of the state of Utah. And with us living up Utah as In The Image Clothing Company, me, myself, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, being Utah native, I love this state. I love the environment here and just the beautiful diversity. If you don't know what Utah looks like, environment-wise, depending on who you are or where you are on the earth, you can look it up wherever you could. Photos or images, well, that's the same thing, but videos of Utah, the state here in the United States of America, is just so ridiculously beautiful when it comes to the nature. So, yeah. A lot of what we're going to be doing is for the health of the planet, okay? I've discussed these things, date marked under In The Image Clothing Company podcast, another one of our fours, where what we really do is have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. And you don't have to be religious or believe in anything, but we're all human beings, the same thing, placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. There's a universal human design. We have things that we celebrate across the entire earth, like Christmas, which is the birth of Jesus Christ, and today is Easter, the 6th of April, 2026, which is when Jesus Christ was resurrected and brought back to life through the power of the Almighty God. after dying and being dead for 3 days. These are what we could call holidays that get celebrated across the entire earth. Things like this. It's what the year is 2026. And that's because not that the earth started 2026 years ago or existence started then, but because Jesus Christ was born 2026 years ago from this year, 2026. That's why it's 2026 across the entire earth, because there was thousands and thousands of years of human beings before 0, the date mark. But that's when Jesus Christ was born. So this is the thing, is you don't have to believe in anything or be religious for truth to be truth. The truth is, every calendar across the planet goes by the same date, and it's because of the name Jesus the Christ, who is God. So as we say, you don't need to believe us, don't believe in anything, and what's left, right? Don't believe me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, any of our team members under In The Image Clothing Company, even any of our poodles, if you will. I say it like that because if you don't believe in anything, you're still here. Things are still what they are. Truth is always truth. We don't have the ability for our beliefs to determine where we came from to get here to Earth, because you have to first get here to be able to even develop a belief on how it happened. It only happened how it did. So, truth is truth, is the point. And, yeah, I mean, we just have documented under In The Image Clothing Company podcast a lot of things, and we'll continue to make episodes of In The Image Clothing Company podcast as we go. It's one of our fours under In The Image Clothing Company. But I've discussed a lot about the earth and the planet and the health of that, and what it means to let dogs stay natural and to allow the bodies to work and to continue to be healthy human beings when our bodies are only literally the earth. With this universal law being matter cannot be created or destroyed, our bodies are literally only what we have eaten. The earth actually becomes the human being, but then once we die, our bodies decompose back to the earth. As it says in the Holy Bible, we're pulled from the clay. Okay? So, yeah, we are a clothing company, and for a big reason, but that reason is to allow the human body to continue to work and function as if it had never been altered. God designed the body to work. Getting out of the chronic patterning that we get into, the scar tissue and the bone spurs that build up in the body when they're not allowed to track in line. The bones of the body with the muscles pulling on them only directly in line. If our bodies aren't tracking in line at just the only way the bones are shaped and lengthed, because something like an oversized top item of clothing, just pulling our shoulders down and damaging our bodies for year after year from their neutral position. There's a neutral to everything in the body, and that's just how it works, is residing in its neutrals, activated as a whole. Everything in the body playing the role that it's there to play because it has to. It goes anywhere everything else in the body goes. The body's all connected. It's a kinetic chain, and everything just has a different function, and so it's all got to play its role, because we can't just drag around dead weight, and we have to stay balanced on Earth's vertical gravity pull. So we talk about things like amputations and, maybe a prosthetic limb, or birth defects, major surgeries that have altered your body, or anything, right? Yeah, anything at all, whatever I normally say, birth defect, amputation, major surgery, or deformity in the body, but anything at all, we just have to do what we can to get as close as we can in our own individual situations to the universal human design, because that's how the body works, is it breathes, and it digests food, and it pumps blood through it, through the circulatory system, and it only can do what it can do if it's going to be alive, right? So the spine has to stay in the center of the body because there's lungs on either side of it. The brain has to feed into the stem before we can stem out through our whole bodies. the nervous system, right? It comes from the brain, it comes down through the brain stem into the spine, and then it feeds out into the rest of the entire body. The thing is, this is so big. This is what we are and have been since the very founding. This is the reason why we founded, or me, Evan Strong, founded In The Image Clothing Company, is to allow the body to work. That was what it always was since before we even had our 5-word company name, In The Image Clothing Company. I was still doing these things, and I had this place where I was posting videos, and I titled it Body Mechanics with Evan. That's what became In The Image Clothing Company. We're only a clothing company for the sake of the human body, and it's been that way since even before the founding. From me, the founder, Evan Strong. So that's the point, is this is huge. I mean, we're going to be dealing with things like that, you know, people with altered bodies through injuries they've had, or, you know, trying to help people, with that, like an amputation, and how to continue to work through life with gravity pulling on you the same way, but your body's now not centered. Or people with injuries and they're using a cane rather than, you know, supporting their bodies from the center, or they're using a cane in a position that's not neutral for the body or something like this. I mean, these are the same things we've been doing since, even, like I'm saying, literally, truly before the founding of our 5-word company name of In The Image Clothing Company. These are the reasons we're a clothing company, because clothing can alter the body. The fix truly would be to just never wear clothing. Then there'd be never anything placed onto your body, which is just the literal word of clothing, to even potentially alter your body. So clothing just has to fit properly. That's the only reason we are a clothing company. Okay, really, it's for the body's sake. So anyway, with us doing all of these things, we have to be able to be outside, because that's how we do things as In The Image Clothing Company. And so we just have to be where we can do that, and that's St. George, Utah, because our focus is the state of Utah. And St. George is a beautiful place. It's a warm place most all the year round, and it's just amazing. It's such a grounding location because we live on the Rocky Mountain Range, like I'm saying, in Utah here, the state of Utah, the United States of America. Okay, Colorado, Idaho, these states here in the western United States of America, they are also on this Rocky Mountain Range. But in St. George, Utah, with this sandstone rock, it's a lot different in a lot of places than here in Utah County, where you've got the Rocky Mountains, but there's a lot of dirt and rock. In St. George, Utah, a lot of it is just rock. It's just ground. It's true sandstone desert. And it's a very, hear this correct, literally grounding place, because you're standing on the rock. I mean, it's metaphoric. We are in the image clothing company, in the image of Jesus Christ. We build our foundation on the rock that is Jesus Christ. And that's how we have a good, solid life, because another name for God, or Jesus Christ, is the truth. So founding our company on the truth of God, well, it's literally, as real as it is. St. George, Utah is a place of rock. So you get literally grounded because you're just directly on bedrock down there in a lot of places. There's sand dunes down there, and there's difference to, you know, what the land is actually made of, the actual ground. But it's a very grounding place. And this is what I'm saying, is we're only a clothing company for the sake of the human body. A lot of what this human body needs, though, is just connection to nature for the physical, literal reasons. You know, a lot of people think there's approaches to things like staying centered, and they think it's some approach. No, there's physical bones in the center line of the body. The spine, the sternum, our nose, our jaw, like I'm saying, and we breathe in these tubes, the trachea, it's in the center line of the body. We've got feet opposing the center line of our bodies that grip arches inward to keep us vertical. You have to be centered, or your body is physically, mathematically, truly, mechanically damaged. There's no opinion or approach to truth. That's what I'm saying. That's what we do under In The Image Clothing Company, is we get down to truth. We don't get to decide or change truth as human beings. God, as I said, being called the truth is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Truth doesn't change. Anything that ever was true always is true. Anything that is true always will be true. Things are only what they are if they're true. Things that are just what they are just what they are. We get into it in depth because you need context. You need to know what life is because it always has been. For every human generation that comes and goes, every 100 years, give or take, there's an entirely new planet of human beings that wasn't here, give or take 100 years ago. We just cycle through people every 100 years, give or take. Whoever's the oldest living human being, well, once they die, there's an entirely new planet of human beings since before that oldest human being lived. This is what I mean. Truth is truth. We don't get to decide or change just how or what things are as human beings. And a lot of this is stuff that we can get really detached from living in our modern man-made societies. We've just got fake things, plastics and poly blends, which are blends of oil and, a lot of things that are representations of other things. But no matter what we make as human beings, we can only take it from natural things. It's a universal law of truth. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. And so we can alter things from their natural state, but they always go back or decompose to their natural state. There's no opinion or approach to it. So what I'm saying is, if you can tell, you probably can, because sometimes I'm just full on yelling about things behind In The Image Clothing Company as the founder, Evan Strong. There's a lot of passion that I have with this because this is truth. This is all that exists, and there's no opinion to it. Just truth is truth. And we can get very removed and lost and confused on what's really going on when people grow up in city environments. There's no cities until we make them as mankind, and every city always crumbles back to natural. There's no opinion or approach to it. Truth is truth, always. And it always remains underneath everything we could possibly place on top of it. So this is what I mean with us getting people into nature and dogs into nature. These are a lot of the reasons why we do that under In The Image Clothing Company, and why we will be in St. George, Utah for the location. Okay. So there you go. That's the context I'll give, because there's more context to give where there is, but you'll see what's happening as it happens. That's what we're doing, is just what we're doing. Truth is truth. Do you see what I mean? Don't let me try to claim anything, but see what really happens, and there you go. So, my current standard poodle here, first of many, Dante is his name, and me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, will be moving down to St. George, Utah within this month, April 2026. And these are a lot of the reasons as to why. It's actually the physical location and what we're able to do there for the planet Earth, for the wildlife, and for the people that we're involved with because of the physical location on the planet Earth, the environment of it. Okay, so there you go. It is the 6th of April, 2026. It's Easter Sunday. And it's only Easter because of the reasons it's Easter. Okay. And Jesus Christ not only rose again, but he lives today. And we discussed this so clearly under In The Image Clothing Company podcast. And another reason for the state of Utah being our location focus under In The Image Clothing Company is because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints headquarters is here in the state of Utah. And we are based upon not only the gospel of Jesus Christ under In The Image Clothing Company, but specifically within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So, I'm just going to leave it right there. Okay. So expect some big things, just for the sake of doing things that matter, and the impact and the reasons for being what we are and who we are and why we're here as In The Image Clothing Company. And know that we've had the same approach and the same reasons for doing what we're really doing here since the very founding. And St. George, Utah is just going to be where we'll be doing what we're doing because it meshes with what we need. And you're going to be able to see that big time with the dogs and with the events and with just being able to do and deliver our information the ways that we do it all year round, or just about. I mean, it gets cold where it does, it can snow there where it does, and you know, yeah, it's just what it is, but you're gonna see it's so beautiful down there as well. It's cool because I'm wearing this shirt that has palm tree little sketches on it, and I didn't know that I was going to be filming this video today when I put this shirt on, but I've had this video typed in my notes, you know, for weeks now, to just give this really good documentation of context for the reason why we're actually based in a specific location, as in the Image Clothing Company, once we get down there this month in April of 2026. And yeah, there you go. So we do have In The Image Clothing Company music as well. We do rhythm and poetry, spoken word, lyricism, yeah, singing, guitar playing, with the messages geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ. A lot of what we do is show the sizing and setup of guitar, and Dante does this a lot of the time currently, you know, around this time, under In The Image Clothing Company music. But yeah, the sizing and setup of guitar is a big deal because there's a neutral wrist, and there's this rounding to the hands, and there's just a lot of fine motor skills happening when we're playing guitar. So same thing, the reason why we added In The Image Clothing Company music as one of our fourths was for the sake of the human body's functioning. The reason why we added In The Image Clothing Company podcast as one of our fourths under In The Image Clothing Company was to discuss the reason we have a body to begin with, being designed in the image of Jesus Christ by God. Our bodies just grow by themselves. It's only happening how it's happening. Truth is truth. And the truth is, the reason why we added In The Image Clothing Company poodles as one of our fourths is for the health and safety of these domesticated, once wild animals we call dogs, and all the reasons that come with that, and proper breeding, and the importance of purebred dogs, you know, things we discuss under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. So just to be very clear, there's a lot of very specific reasons for our location of St. George, Utah, as In The Image Clothing Company. A lot of companies, it almost wouldn't really make a difference what physical location on the earth they were placed in. There you go. A lot of companies don't really have this personable relationship that we do as In The Image Clothing Company with our, what would you even call it, right? Consumers of our clothing products or our dog products or whatever products we ever have as In The Image Clothing Company, but also the people who just follow along with what we're doing. A lot of companies don't have this kind of dynamic behind them through having a community with them. As I've said since when I've said it, well, the founding date, the 23rd of September 2024, in the launch video of In The Image Clothing Company, the way that we use our company name, the word company is synonymous with community. We are In The Image Clothing Community, if you will. And again, only clothing for the sake of the human body's functioning, because it's physically placed on our bodies. So just to be very clear, yeah, we're a community as In The Image Clothing Company. And again, date marked and documented under the gift of video posted publicly, you know, many times before today's date. I've had fairly thorough discussions on a lot of these things, a lot of the things that I'm discussing in this video, but just to be very clear, we've been the exact same since the founding on why we're here at all as In The Image Clothing Company, and that's why it matters to you. If you're watching this and you care at all about this, it's because we have a community-based thing we're doing here. Yeah, as I've said many times as well, In The Image Clothing Company, in the ways that we do a lot of what we do, we are similar to a non-profit organization with just giving free information of the anatomy of the human body and just free information on life and being so intertwined with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and all of these things, you know, doing things for the planet, for the dogs, not money-based or based on compensation as far as like doing it for work, but just doing it for the sake of the community that we're building here. these are what we are, and how we are as far as these things, and this explanation of what it means to be in the Image Clothing Company. And these are the reasons why the location physically on the earth matters for us as far as where we're based. And so St. George, Utah, it is beautiful down there, and you'll see that if you want to, meaning if you want to stick around and see what we continually do, just the things we've already been doing, we'll just deepen and further and build as our team does, because there's only so much I could do personally, just as one person, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong. So our team, as it builds, you'll be able to just see what's really going on, the transformation in our team members' bodies, as you've been able to see in mine over the past couple years here, give or take. Yeah, I mean, well, year and a half, give or take, really, since the founding of In the Image Clothing Company. You can see my body work proper now, and it couldn't at the start. And this will be the case for our team members as they come on under In the Image Clothing Company, and our poodles. They'll just have very natural, physically capable, able to work bodies, with our slogan being letting dogs stay natural under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. You'll see the fruits of the labor, if you will. You'll see the reasons why we're doing what we're doing under In the Image Clothing Company. And as I'm saying, you can, as of today's date, that's one of the beautiful reasons we call it a gift of video, because the transformation you've been able to see and the growth, and well, I have been able to see, and you have the opportunity to be able to see if you'd like to, under In the Image Clothing Company, from, we could say, even the very founding date, the 23rd of September 2024, to any current date, whenever that could possibly be, even after I die. Personally, as the founder, Evan Strong, you know, the truth of the information that we're discussing here are things that we don't get to decide or change, and things that will not change as well, right? So yeah, St. George, Utah, it's truly wonderful down there, and that's why we're going. Not just only for one specific reason, but because it meshes with what we're doing as our community or our company, as In the Image Clothing Company. And that's just where we'll be based for life. And so there you go. Today is the 6th of April, 2026. Happy Easter, if you will. But more than just saying Happy Easter, we really do need to realize the reason why we celebrate things like Easter and things like Christmas. And these are things that we very clearly put a point on and around under In the Image Clothing Company. And In the Image Clothing Company podcast is a beautiful place, and it's just going to continue, which, yeah, is one of the biggest fourths of us, right? So yeah, for the reasons that it is, because we're discussing the gospel of Jesus Christ there. That's the main focus and the reason for the podcast under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Yeah, we're on episode 204 as of today's date, and we've got some beautiful discussions and more to come. Yeah, so our goal here under In the Image Clothing Company, and this is how we approach what we do, and has been how we approach what we do since the founding, is to discuss things in such depth that you couldn't possibly dispute what we're saying, because truth is truth. Things are only what they are. Our focus is just getting down to things as they are, understanding things, just deepening our understandings of life as it is really our focus under In the Image Clothing Company. That's synonymous with saying allowing the body to work, which is our slogan here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. The way we allow the body to work is just understand its functioning, its anatomy, the way that it does what it does, and then we can just not restrict it, or if needed, and to the degree that it's needed is really the way we say that, getting out of the patterning and the damage that's happened to our bodies over years. As I'm saying, you know, I'm only here preaching what I have practiced. You can see this happening in my own personal body under the gift of video, date marked and documented before today's date, the 6th of April, 2026, me, Evan Strong, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. So that's how we do things, and we'll continue to, is preaching what we have practiced. We approach things through trial and error, prayer and revelation, and just out of authenticity. That's why we say it how we do, blunt, bold, raw, and real, In the Image Clothing Company. A lot of the things we do as well, I say these phrases. It's as real as it gets, or it's as obvious as it is once you see it. a lot of times in life, we just don't know what's happening. But once we understand what's going on, it's like, oh, and it's been that way the whole time? All right, well, now it makes more sense. That's what we need in life, is just an understanding of what it truly is. So, thank you, and thank you. For some context for this specific standard poodle here, he's the first of many to come under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. Dante, he is a rescue from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. So we'll be breeding purebred standard poodles to advocate for the health of purebred dogs and how to do it properly, okay, at least how to approach breeding dogs naturally, healthily, really, okay, properly. I'm just making it clear, we're not going to be doing it perfectly because we're imperfect human beings relying on a perfect God, but we've got to give a lot of credit, just rightfully, he deserves it, meaning at least me personally, to this specific standard poodle for just being as awesome as he is. I couldn't have asked for a better dog to be not only my first dog personally as Evan Strong, but as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. With 1/4 of us being In the Image Clothing Company poodles and advocating for dogs, I couldn't have asked for a better dog to do that with. He's only around 2 years old, give or take. Just being a rescue, we don't know his background history since before I adopted him from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter. But I mean, I couldn't have asked to breed to a dog as good as Dante. Well, maybe as good as Dante, but I couldn't have asked for a better dog is the point, truly. And he just was truly, legitimately, actually given to me by God in a way that's so direct and real, because we've got the next rest of Dante's life to see who and what he is as the advocate he is under In the Image Clothing Company poodles with letting dogs stay natural. And he's just a phenomenal dog. So a lot of credit has to go to Dante. Out of any and all the standard poodles we will be having under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, and then just myself as well, like I'm saying, as Evan Strong, personally, Dante deserves a lot of credit because of really just how amazing he is. So anyway, there you go. Okay. I'll let this kind of just fizzle out at the end through this noise of the people passing. And then we'll go from there, because we've only got just days, weeks, until we'll be down in St. George, Utah. And then from there, you'll be able to see what we're able to do because of the specific actual physical location down there. When I say we'll let this fizzle out, what I mean is we'll just kind of sit on this video at the end here, just kind of realize where we are in this and kind of just let it kind of casually happen, because that's what I mean is I'm not making some bold claims. And that's what I say when we discuss things so different than how the world, if you will, explains things within the human body or just life as it is. Under In the Image Clothing Company, we're disciples of Jesus Christ. And that's a backward kind of life to how the world works. But the distinction, right? God's natural earth and then our man-made world we place onto God's natural earth. There's a separation there. And so anyway, yeah, just meaning this isn't some big hyped up announcement video for people to get all energized about. It's just another date mark documentation to explain we will be down in St. George, Utah, and we will be down there this month, and then for the rest of my life personally, as the founder as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong. So there you go. Okay, the 6th of April, 2026. Happy Easter. Yeah. Just sitting on this though, because the beautiful nature. That's what I'm saying is you physically can't enjoy it past a certain degree, no matter how much you personally either don't mind or even could say you like the cold temperatures. Your physical body can only operate at the temperatures that it can. And when it gets colder, it's just physically hard for your body to actually mechanically operate and move and just continue to function. And so This is a lot of what In The Image Clothing Company will always be, is just sitting down like this, having real deep discussions. And even at our in-person events where they are, we will have things like this, like just discussions and information be given, but also just the approach to our events. It's not that we're hyping up some big event, it's a gathering of people. And if they're poodle parade events specifically, or just events under In The Image Clothing Company where you can bring your poodles or mixed poodles, it's a gathering. That's what I mean by events. Not that there will be like things going on to take part in as like you know, a party. It's bringing people together as a community. That's what I mean by poodle parade events, or any events we have under In The Image Clothing Company. Purposeful, real, grounded, rooted, actual reasons why we're doing what we're doing is who we are as In The Image Clothing Company. And so that's what I mean by just kind of, you know, letting things just be what they are, not worrying about the surrounding sounds any more than is needed to, you know, be able to hear information delivered in the video fairly well. And just kind of sitting here, letting things just be what they are. A lot of times we just don't get this in our fast-paced, modern, man-made world. This is what I mean. Allowing the body to work, this is how the human body works, is on the earth, with the feet being able to grip the arches, with the hands only being round, having the texture. It's just naturally there in nature. And the body's circadian rhythm, I mean, this is factual biology being determined by the rise and the fall of the sun, not our times and our clocks and our schedules of appointments in our modern man-made societies. There's no approach to natural. The body's either alive or it's dead. It does what it does. We don't get to decide for the body to just continue to live. We all die. Even God himself did die, only to rise again. And so it only is what it is. Okay. Thank you.